Krishna. Very grateful to be here among all of you. So we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, the opulence of the Absolute, text number 18. Okay. So please repeat after me. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kataya triptirhi sunvato nasti me mrutam vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kataya triptirhi sunvato nasti me mrutam vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kataya triptirhi sunvato nasti me mrutam.
Vistarenatmana yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kataya triptirhi sarvata nasti me atam.
Mataji is going to say.
Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kataya triptirhi sarvato nasti me atam.
Word by word meaning, please repeat. Vistarena, in detail. Atmanaha, your. Yogam, mystic power. Vibhutim, opulences. Cha, also. Janardana, O killer of the atheists. Bhuya, again. Kataya, describe. Triptihi, satisfaction. He, certainly. Sunvataha, hearing. Na asti, there is not. Me, my. Amrutam, nectar. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. O Janardana, again can repeat. O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. Purport. A similar statement was made to Suta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka. That statement is, Vayam tu na vitrupayama uttama sloka vikarme yashunvatam rasagnanam swadu pade pade. One can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish At every step, the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.19. Thus, Arjuna is interested in hearing about Krishna, and specifically how he remains as the all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amritam nectar is concerned, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar, and this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fiction, and histories are different from the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, in that one will tire of hearing mundane stories, but one never tires of hearing about Krishna. It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is replete with references to the pastimes of the incarnations of Godhead. The Puranas are histories of bygone ages that relate to the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh despite repeated readings. We'll offer prayers together. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sadhana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Purvatite Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwahanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this verse telling, Arjuna is speaking this verse. He's telling, O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. So Arjuna is requesting Krishna again to speak again about his opulences, his mystic opulences. So if you see this verse, so why Arjuna is asking again, so what is happening here, if you see. So this chapter itself is named as the opulence of the Absolute. So this chapter describes the opulences of Lord Krishna. But why Krishna is telling about his opulences? So if you see, the previous chapter is the most confidential knowledge. So this is a Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam. It is the most confidential knowledge. It's right, it's 9th chapter. It's right in the middle of Bhagavad Gita. the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita. It's right in the middle, 9th chapter. So it has the most confidential knowledge. So it says, that Krishna will start speaking in this chapter also. In the beginning of this chapter, Krishna says, Arjuna, you are non-envious, so I'll speak about myself. And then he starts speaking in 9th chapter about himself and how one should worship him. The conclusion of that chapter, 9th chapter, is 9.34th verse, the famous verse. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namashkuru mame veshyasi yuktam te atmana mad parayana. So this verse comes twice in Bhagavad Gita, right? In this end of 9th chapter and the end of 18th chapter, the end also. Almost at the end of the conclusion also, Krishna says this. It's one of the very important verses. It comes twice in Bhagavad Gita. No other verse is when Krishna speaks twice. But this he says that engage your mind always in thinking of me. Manmana bhava mad bhaktu. Manmana bhava. Think of me always, Krishna is telling. And then become my devotee and offer my obeisances to me and worship me. And being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So we all come to temple and associate devotees to do this. So Manmana Mad Bhakto Madhyaji, so we can come and offer obeisances here, and we can do worship here. We can participate in the worship, in the pujari doing worship. So we can become devotee, we are wearing tilak, kanti and beads and all that. Now engage mind always in thinking of me, Krishna is telling. So how to think of Krishna always? So that is the challenging part. Coming to temple and doing worship and offering obeisances, they are okay, we are trying to do that. But to engage, to think of always of Krishna, how is it possible? So Krishna knew our problem. So to help us to think of Krishna always, the whole 10th chapter, he tells us how to remember him. That is, he tells about his opulences. So Krishna is everywhere. Right? Krishna is everywhere. He is in atom and everywhere. But we cannot, when we see things in this world, we see that all material things it is. We don't see Krishna. We don't have that eyes to see Krishna. But a pure devotee, he sees everything and then sees as Krishna. Krishna's thing it is. So Prabhupada, whenever he is going anywhere, he would relate everything to Krishna. So while going, beautiful sunrise, Prabhupada relate, see the creation of Krishna, how beautiful it is. If the creation of the person is so beautiful, how beautiful the creator would be. So Prabhupada would always link everything to Krishna. So whenever he would see anything, he would bring to Krishna, he would relate to Krishna. So here in 10th chapter, so Krishna is telling that, in the first verse only Krishna is telling, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna, because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak you further, giving you knowledge that is better than what I have already explained. And then Krishna talks about how he is the source of everything. That everything is originating from him, all the demigods and everything is originating from him. And then he is unborn, beginless. He is in the middle, he is in the end. So everything is coming from him. And then he talks about Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita also we call. It's from verse number 8 onwards. That the whole Bhagavad Gita can be combined into these 4 verses, 8, 9, 10, 11. These 4 verses he tells about himself and how one should, like, Aham sarvasya prava matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante maham bhuta bhava samamrita. Like, I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. So he's telling about his opulences. So all in these verses. So what happens is then when we see something, so we can relate it to, okay, this is opulence coming from Krishna. So he talks about opulences in this chapter. So here it's in this particular verse we are discussing, verse number 18. So Arjuna is telling that, he's asking, again please describe in detail, more detail. Already in the beginning of the verse, Krishna is telling, I'll explain to you in detail. And Arjuna is telling, please describe in more detail. Furthermore, I want to hear, because this is nectar. I am not tired of hearing about you. So this is the symptom of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is never tired of hearing about Krishna. So Arjuna is a pure devotee. Arjuna is, that's why Krishna is speaking to him. Out of so many warriors in the war of Kurukshetra, so Krishna is giving Bhagavad Gita only to Arjuna. Because he is Bhakto Sime Sakacheti. Krishna is telling that he is a friend and a disciple, a devotee. And he is non-envious. So, he is a pure devotee. He wants to hear more about Krishna. So, only pure devotees can hear about Krishna. Not anyone else. In this world, it's opposite it is. We don't want to hear, but we want to tell about ourselves. Whenever we get opportunity, we keep speaking about ourselves. How great I am. How many opulences I have. I have 2 cars. I am planning for a 3rd one now. I have a house here. I have a house there. I did this. I did that and all. We start speaking about ourselves. You have experience, right? Sometimes you meet someone and they start speaking about it and you think, kab rukega ye? Experience? Right? They start whenever you speak anybody, anything in this world, people want to speak about themselves. 2 people meet, the first person starts speaking about himself. After some time, second one, starts taking up from there. Oh, you have this, I have this, I have done this, you have done this. And that person will say this, and then he'll go, my father did this, and then he'll go, this person did, my relative this. It all goes on like telling about this, and then ultimately after all the discussion, you get so exhausted. My God, what is this? This fellow has eaten my head, you think. It's not nectar, it becomes like a poison, and it becomes like very disturbing. Stress it is, like what is it agitates our mind basically. That's the nature of this world, is that wherever we get, we want to speak about ourselves, and wherever we go, people are speaking about themselves, and we have to hear that. Either they are speaking about themselves, or they are speaking bad about others. How they are so good and others are all bad. Even you come in temple also, you will hear all this. So anywhere there is no place to escape. So everywhere you go, it's happening this way. But here Arjuna is telling, Krishna, I want to hear about you. So in the material world, the topics are that, like Prabhupada is explaining in the purport here, that anything about narrations of Krishna are nectar, but anything about this material world, they are not nectar. They are very boring. And Prabhupada giving here example of, like anything comes. In this world, we are talking about, modern stories, fiction, histories and all. That's why, there are so many movies, they keep releasing so many movies after movies. There are like thousands and millions of movies may be there. But people are not happy. They want to see more and more and more. People just get hooked to it. Because after one, you get bored about it. And you want another one. You are not satisfied. Rarely somebody wants to go and see that movie like 10 times, 20 times. Because the material topics, anything you take, they are all very dry. Why? Because they don't touch our soul. They don't touch the heart. It's all at mind and at bodily level. All the stories, all the things, literature we hear, all the social media, they all talk about themselves. People are talking about themselves. People are trying to see that, okay, this person is doing like this, speaking like this person is doing like, so let me also do this. That's how, I'll be accepted in the society. If this person has bought this type of car, then I should also buy this type of car. If this person is this, then I should become like this. There's always this competition and always this there. And then any topics you take, people are not satisfied. And then it leads into quarrels and all like that. So that's the nature of this material world. It is very dry. It is. Anything we take, any subject matter we take, it is very dry. But the spiritual subjects of Krishna are not like that. We'll come to that later. How it is nectar. It is always nectar. So Krishna here he's telling that he's asking Krishna to explain about the power of mystic power of opulences. Arjuna is not asking Krishna, Krishna, please explain the pastimes you did, how you were, how you did your pastimes in Vrindavan. And I want to hear that more and more. Yeah, that's also relatable to devotees. But specifically here, he is asking about the mystic powers. Because we get attracted with mystic powers. So Prabhupada once said, what is the meaning of mystic power? Mystic power means, what is mystic? He very simply says that mystic is something which you cannot do and another person or other are doing it. It's mystic for you because you cannot do. And Prabhupada gave a simple example. So tree has a mystic power. What is that mystic power? Tree eats and drinks with legs, fruits. We cannot do that. Right? Our cow has mystic power. What is that? It takes grass and water and gives milk. No factory can do that. So mystic power is there everywhere, like this thing. Something which we cannot do, other person does, we get attracted. The same thing comes to humans. Some humans, they have some mystic power. They produce gold chain from the air. They do some mystic power they have and they produce gold chain. And they become very famous. And become a great sadhu or guru, and people follow him because he produces a gold chain. And Prabhupada would say, if you can produce a small one gold chain, what about that person who has put so much of gold in all the gold mines of this world? And how much mystic he is. Right? So that is what it is. Mystic power means people get attracted with any mystics. If you saw any mystic, Adbhutam, the Adbhut thing is shown, people get attracted. So Arjuna is asking Krishna to tell about his mystic powers. That way, anything which is very, very mystic in the world, when you see that, then we can remember Krishna. And this chapter, continuation of previous chapter, is how to remember Krishna. So when we know all the mystic things happening in this world is due to Krishna, or when you see them, then we can see mystic powers. So Krishna says further that how the vibhutis, he says, I cannot explain everything about me, about all my mystic power, but I will tell you few items. And then he says, like example, he says that among the animals I am lion. So lion, very, very ferocious animal it is. It has a very strong built body. Lion, and it can take down any animal in a fight. So like that, when we, among the immovable things, I am the Himalayas. Krishna says, the huge mountains. If you go to Himalayas, very huge mountains. There are so many. So nobody can even move them. They are like, what speak of moving? Just there's the height and the magnitude of them. So our mountains here, they are still dwarf in compared to Himalayas. So Krishna is telling us anything like that vibhutis, when we see that, and even he says, I am the taste of water. Among the birds I am picking up. Like that he says many things to read this chapter. When we see all these, because we come across these things every day, day to day in our lives. About different things which Krishna is mentioning. We will not go, but these verses will come further when we are discussing this series. So I am the fishes, I am shark, he says, I am the rivers, among the rivers I am Ganges. So like that Krishna, anything that is great or that is very opulent, that is coming from Krishna. So when we see it is, then we need to remember Krishna. Prabhupada says, becoming Krishna conscious is very easy. Anybody can become Krishna conscious. Anybody can become devotee of Krishna. I started telling, even a drunkard can become Krishna conscious, a devotee. So he says, why, how? He says, when a drunkard or a person who is drinking, when he starts drinking, if he appreciates the taste of that alcohol he is taking, it is coming from Krishna, and if he appreciates, then he is like remembering Krishna, then he is a devotee. So becoming Krishna conscious is very easy. But to be atheist is very difficult. Because so much of mystic things happening, everything is moving, this world is moving, this planet is floating in the air and all. It's how this universe got created and how this is moving and all. It is very difficult to comprehend without Krishna. That's why here Arjuna is addressing Krishna Janardana. Janardana means a killer of atheists. So if an atheist reads all this and this, his atheism will get killed. Because knowing this, how everything is coming from Krishna, it is. Because there is no other reason. It has to be coming from Krishna only, it is. There is no other reason, means you cannot comprehend any other reason. Because everything is mystic happening. Even our body, we are eating every day. We don't know what all happening inside. It is so much, it is said that the kind of enzymes and the kind of process, chemical process and all happens in our body. If you actually put a laboratory, that will stretch for miles and miles, like 100 miles of lab it will be. Just to digest our food, if you have to do in a laboratory, that whole thing, it is so long. But Krishna has put everything in this small stomach. That's a mystic. And then we eat food and we get energy. That's a mystic thing. It is. Feel. And then our bodies will work so much and all. Then we have to sleep and then we get rejuvenated. And then how the procreation happens. That's another mystic. Man and woman come and then they produce children. So that is like you don't see that who are a car and car are coming together, another car is coming, or any other machine is like that. No, only this Krishna's creation can happen like that. So if you see everything like this, anything, so it's very easy to remember Krishna. This whole chapter is given like that. And here Arjuna is telling that I am not satiated. It is like nectar to hear about you. So we have these books, we have Srimad Bhagavatam, we have Bhagavad Gita and all. It's nectar Arjuna is telling. But how many of you are feeling nectar here? Only 1, 2, 3. Not many. If it is nectar, then we would be just reading this and hearing this all the time, right? But our actions are not like we read. If you read for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, bahut padh liya aaj. Like I have lifted a big mountain now, And we hear a lecture or we do nice, japa, 15 rounds, we do it, then oh my God, bahut ho gaya, isko rakh do. Kal tak mat dekho mat. Feedback, we'll say, no, I don't want to see it till tomorrow. It doesn't look like nectar. Arjuna is telling it's nectar for me. But we don't see as nectar it is. When you start reading or hearing, you'll go to sleep. You have experience? You start reading, you'll go to sleep. I have a lot of experience myself. Even in hearing also. If nectar is there, why the sleep will come? We don't sleep while eating. And eating, even if you are sleepy, if you start eating, then our sleep will go away. But even if you are not sleepy, you start reading, your sleep will come. I know some devotees, they say, I have sleep problem. I don't get sleep, I sleep quickly. So we tell them, start chanting Hare Krishna in the bed. Start chanting Hare Krishna in the mind. And then say, after some time they come and say, Prabhuji, it worked. I start chanting Hare Krishna, I immediately fall asleep. So it doesn't look like nectar. Why? So Rupa Goswami says this, why it is like this. So he says, Rupa Goswami, that so right now we are all suffering from a disease. The disease name is called Bhavarog. Bhavarog means disease of material enjoyment. So we want to enjoy material life, material things. Where the disease is there. Because of that disease, we cannot relish about Krishna. How? He explains, Rupa Goswami, that a person suffering from jaundice, disease, a person suffering from jaundice, what will happen? his bile, his liver is diseased. So because of that, his bile is not produced properly, and then it is disease condition. So because of that, he cannot taste anything. A person suffering with jaundice cannot taste anything. For him, food is like he cannot even taste it or eat it, any food. And especially if any sweet he tastes, it tastes him bitter. For a person suffering with jaundice, sweet things taste bitter. Now is it the fault of sweet? No, sweet's nature is, sweetness is there. Any sweet, sweetness is there. But a person suffering with jaundice, when he puts that sweet in his tongue, it is bitter. And he doesn't want to eat, because who wants to eat bitter things? Very bitter it is. He says, I don't want to eat. He doesn't want to eat anything. But the cure for jaundice is to eat sweet only. So in the Ayurvedic way, Ayurvedic cure for jaundice is to give sugarcane juice. Sugarcane juice is very sweet. And it's very easy to just drink, it is. But for a person suffering from jaundice, like kashayam, the bitter medicine like that. You don't want to drink it. If you take a sip, it's very bitter. So the cure is, keep drinking that. Every day you take little sugarcane juice. Keep drinking that sugarcane juice. But sugarcane juice goes and then starts curing the liver. And then slowly that person gets, the bitterness will decrease. It will not go away immediately. The same sugarcane which is sweet, which is tasting bitter for him, it starts decreasing. The bitterness starts decreasing. At one point it becomes tasteless. No sweet, no bitter. And then as he continues to drink that sugarcane juice, the sweetness comes. He starts tasting the sweetness. And then he continues that, then he will see the real taste of sugarcane juice. The fault is because he has this disease, jaundice. So like that, we have this disease called bhavarog. This is the disease to enjoy material things. You want to enjoy with your senses. You want to do sense gratification. The more one is engrossed in sense gratification or to enjoy senses, that much he feels bored with topics of Krishna. That much he feels that I don't want to hear about Krishna. There are many people in our movement also. They say, if you want to come and sit for a class, they say, no, I don't want class. Prasadam, I like Prasadam. Kirtan also I like. But about Krishna class, no, I get sleep, I get bored. Like that, So it is, so we can see ourselves. So we are having that disease, bhavarog. How much I am relishing the nectar of to read or to hear about Krishna. If not, then I have that much of disease. Then what I should do? I should take the sugarcane juice. What is sugarcane juice? It's a nectar again. Yes, I don't like to read or hear about Krishna, but that is the cure. The cure is, we have to daily hear and read about Krishna. Keep hearing and reading about Krishna every day. That's the cure. We may not like it. We may fall asleep. We may not like it, or we may not have time. We have so many excuses to give. But you have to understand that this is the cure. This is the medicine for my disease. This bhavarog disease, we are carrying this birth after birth. We are taking birth after birth because of this disease. Until this disease of bhavarog gets cured, we won't be happy. We keep suffering in this material world. We have to keep hearing the mundane subjects. We have to keep hearing from the other person about good and bads, about his own thing, about otherwise. There is no nectar in that. So Arjuna is a pure devotee, he didn't have any disease of bhavarog. He is completely purified. That's why he is telling, I want to hear again. I want to hear your nectar. And we see in the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also and all the associates. We were discussing yesterday, Gadadhar Pandit's appearance day was there discussing how Gadadhar Pandit, they would read Srimad Bhagavatam. And then as soon as he reads one whole section like 7th canto of Prahlad Maharaj, they would read. After reading the whole 7th canto, Mahaprabhu would say, read again. And then he would read again, but Gadadhar Pandit would read again whole 7th canto. Day and night they would just sit and read. And after that again, he said, read again. And then they'll read. They keep reading again and again, 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times, 100 times. But always fresh. We can also experience that. Not exactly like that, but we can experience. You yourself take this. This is an experiment you can do yourself. Take one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You read it once. You read again that same chapter. You read again, third time, fourth time. You will see there is newness in this. It's new. It is. You may by heart the whole verses. You know the whole how this chapter is, what this chapter of Bhagavad Gita is. But when you read again, you will see it new. Many devotees, they go through whole Bhagavad Gita once. And again they read again. Again they read. It's always new, it is. The realization you get reading once or second, third, different. The next time you read, you have another realization. Prabhupada, he wrote all the books, but he would himself sit and read again. Whenever he got time, he would read it. And someone asked, Prabhupada, this is your books, you wrote all this, why are you reading? Have you seen any author reading his own books? Nobody did, because he wrote this. Prabhupada would say, no, I didn't write this, Krishna wrote this. There's so much of nectar in this to read. But the topics of this material world, Prahlad Maharaj explains in 7th canto, any other topics in this material world are like the Punah Charvita Charvananam. That is like the chewing the chewed. He gives analogy. You see that, this, have you taken sugar cane? You are eating sugar cane. You bite it, and then it's only the pulp is there. And then you throw it. There's no juice in it. Already chewed it is completely. Then nothing is there to eat. Then again you take and pick up, and then again start chewing. Will there be any taste? No. There won't be any taste because all the juice is gone. There's no juice in there. But if there is nothing else, you just keep chewing the chewed. So the topics of this material world are like that. It's chewing the chewed. So we are chanting the same mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Same mantra we are chanting again and again and again. But if you are really chanting with attention, and if you are hearing the mantra, it's always new. But if your mind is distracted, you are thinking about other things, and you are thinking, how long this lecture will go, when will I go for prasad and all, then the same thing will become boring. But if we put our attention and we hear each syllable while chanting, the same mantra it is, we may chant for years, for days, it's always new. Haridas Thakur, he would chant whole day and night. It's always new. Because Krishna's holy name is not different from himself. That realization, we don't have that. But to achieve that, we need to keep hearing. We need to keep reading. We need to keep chanting. Again and again. Even if we don't like, we just have to keep chanting. Because all other topics are useless in this material world. In the first canto, second chapter, Bhagavatam, it is said that all the mundane topics or mundane things we read in social media and in books or novels and all, they are like the pilgrimage of crows. In India, you see that some garbage is there, how the crows will be there. there's so many crows come and they do a lot of noise there. And they all pick up the dirty things, anything, like sometimes anything is dead and they throw it. These crows come and just rip apart. I recently visited India and I saw this one, 2-3 crows. They got some dead rat from somewhere and then they are just, it's rotting rat, they are just eating it. Crows like all these dirty things. But the topics of Krishna the topics of Krishna are like those who relish only the Hamsas. The Paramahamsas relish the topics of Krishna. Paramahamsa is one. Hamsa, there is said, it's also said that there are few types of fans. Fans are there. Hamsa means swan, which they separate milk from water. If you give the swan, certain swans are there, milk mixed with water given, they just absorb the milk. The Paramahamsa is like that. Who is always seeing where Krishna is there. He is seeing Krishna everywhere, in all opulences. Everywhere he sees this opulence of Krishna. Any topics, anything, it is like relishes that. So we have to see that we want to be a crow or a swan. Then we have to be associated with like that. If you are with crows, then we will become a crow. If you are always, those people you associate with those who are relishing the mundane topics, movies, there are so many shows come in different, nowadays so much of this thing, there are so many streaming devices and streaming channels and this, that and all these, so much of information, so much of these mundane things are there and nobody is satisfied. Just waste of time. It is. So, we need to cure this disease means we need to hear regularly and chant regularly and associate with the devotees, hear about Krishna regularly. As a quota, we need to keep aside one quota. Every day I will do this. As a cure, as a medicine, I will take this. Then we will come to these platforms eventually. Nectar. Okay, we'll stop here. We are beyond the time. Any questions? Yes,
First of all, I have to give gratitude to you. You explained very wonderfully, very nice. My question is, like you said that when you're reading something or chanting, getting sleep. So how can overcome this? You touch a little bit, but I need more details about that.
Yeah, the sleep is coming because of many reasons. But one practical reason could be that we are so tired actually. We are like, we need to see whether we are getting enough rest or not. And then we need to take some endeavor. If you are getting sleep, then we need to do some like wash our face or we have to see that if it is a constant problem, then we have to see what's wrong. Either we are not getting enough rest or we have some other conditions we have in our body like that. But occasionally sometimes we get sleep. So basically that's only when we are tired we get sleep. So we need to take enough rest. If we are working too much and we are tired, then after a hard work of whole day in office and doing our work, you come and take a book, then obviously yes, we'll go to sleep. As far as the spiritual practices we need to do in the morning, where we have enough sleep, our body is well rested, then we are fresh, our mind is fresh and body is fresh. Then like that, we need to see that.
But it's your morning time chanting, most of people are sleepy.
Same thing, like I said, people sleep late and they get up and then somehow they have to do things. The body is tired. I have seen some devotees, they are keeping their bead bag and practically whole time they are sleeping and then they finish 16 hours like that only. I wonder how it happens. They do like that only. So it's like nice time to rest, but we should not be like that. We should see that. This I am not doing just for sake of for sleeping. We need to see that. And I have seen the same devotees, they don't sleep properly, they don't sleep. They are sleeping like 5-6 hours. After different bodies need different times. We have to sleep more. Like that we have to see that. It is case to case it is, we have to see. Some may sleep very less, 3-4 hours they are full, energetic. It It is not a general thing, it is. So any other question or comment? Okay, if not, we'll stop here. Vendra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.